not with your hands, not with anything, but like literally with your mind, you can literally create situations in your head and they can come to a realization. I think of St. Louis Graham as like maybe like rap music, and then you think of like Taylor Swift as STLBucketList, like it's your everyday, everybody
spot
loves
on,
it.
yeah.
Like you think of like a unique, like, let's say like St. Louis Graham is like Kendrick Lamar, and then St. Louis Bucket List is like Taylor Swift.
I think that's fair, yeah.
We write this down everywhere. If not us, then who? If not now, then when?
Hey guys, just a super quick note from myself, editor Jason. This podcast was recorded in front of a live audience, so there's a little bit of background noise and a little bit different sound quality than you may be used to if you're a regular listener of the show. If this is your first time, thanks for joining us, and enjoy this episode of Opecast.
What's going on, Opecast? Today I'm here with Lucas Farrell of STLBucketList, St. Louis Graham. Does a lot of digital marketing, social indoor, and man, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. I listen to your podcast, so I'm a big fan, and we're doing it in front of people today, which is really exciting. So wouldn't want to be anywhere else tonight.
Actually, we're in Lutopia, which I heard Javen talk about on your podcast.
Yeah, so he talked. I mean, you want me to get right into it?
Yeah, let's dive in.
So shout out Javen, one of my neighbors, and he really came on our podcast. It was probably 2 years ago, and was talking about what he's built now, and it's kind of cool, and it's really a testament to the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is what I live my life by. Like, you have to see what you want before you have it. And he talked about it on that podcast. You guys pulled the clip like 2 years later when they were building this out, and it's just really cool to see like thoughts become things, and that. Shout out Javen for hosting us today at the space.
Yeah, I don't know if we can say what's going on, but just congrats to him and the whole family. So people will get the hint on that. But yeah, man, so let's talk about you. So let's talk about your upbringing. I know you're used to being on the opposite end of this, but yeah, man, who's Lucas Farrell and where did you grow up?
Yeah, man. So I grew up in a small town called Dardenne Prairie, which is in like Lake St. Louis, O'Fallon, Missouri area. We had about 10,000 people that lived in our city, but it doesn't sound like it's that small because we were next to O'Fallon, which is a lot bigger, but we just lived in the smaller part of that city. And I mean, I grew up like most people, like playing sports, hanging out with friends. This was pre-iPad days, so we would go outside all the time. But really more importantly is, I did have somewhat of a rough upbringing. Addiction was terrible in our family. I don't want to get too much into it, but it was, addiction runs a lot of our family, and it's unique in that area because when you come from like a single parent household or something like that, it's just weird in areas like that, that are meant to be upper class, areas. But I think that taught me a lot. I think that going through that, and everything's better now. But I think going through those things, entrepreneurship was always something that I was interested in. I was really interested in building things and creating things from scratch. I would write books when I was a kid, not real books, but like I would write books of scenarios and fantasies of, sports teams and like running. I wanted to be like a GM of a sports team. That was like my thing. I love the NBA. I love the NFL. But yeah, I had a pretty normal high school experience, played sports, hung out with people, and it was overall great. I did go to college. I'm a college dropout, which
Kanye.
Yeah, like Kanye, which is cool now to be, but it wasn't cool at that time to be a college dropout, but it's cool to talk about it now.
How far you've come.
But yeah, I think that like overall, my mom, my sisters, my family means so much to me now more than ever. And I'm noticing that now that I'm 28. But yeah, I just, entrepreneurship, I started my first business when I was 19. It was an e-commerce website, failed. And then...
Was this while you were in college?
Yeah. And then...
What were you selling on the e-commerce site?
I was selling vinyl records. This was before vinyl records were cool. So if you guys know that these vinyl records... that were clocks, and I would source them on Alibaba and like sell like clocks because I thought they were cool, and I'm like, vinyl records are popping off, and this was probably 2015 or 2016.
Yep.
And then I did door-to-door sales. So I'm a salesperson at heart, and I think that's what made me success in business to this point is I did door-to-door sales for 3 years, knocking door-to-door, and then I did phone sales for 2 years after that before I started my business. So I had 5 years of experience of the 2 hardest forms of jobs.
Door to door, man. How was it? Like, what was the worst rejection you got?
Dude, I almost like got killed before. Like, I mean, you knock some doors in the wrong areas, and like, like I was doing that when I was 16 too. That was one of my first jobs. I was selling decks, door to door. I was trying to sell people on decks and fences.
Yeah.
I was working at a home improvement company, which 3 people that I know have like pretty big marketing companies that came from that company too, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, I've had really weird experiences with people. Like people let me in their house when I was like 17 years old. Like it's just weird.
Yeah.
It's just weird stuff happened on the door-to-door job.
You got to grow up real fast.
Yeah.
And you got to, I feel like being in sales or just getting to know people, it's like, it's good to be in all different kinds of situations because then you just know how to react the next time. And so you mentioned that you had an interest in being an entrepreneur. Who inspired you growing up?
So I think we didn't have like a family full of entrepreneurs, but I think the internet age of like that, what do you call it? Like self-development phase, like Gary Vee and all those guys that were making videos. And I was super inspired by those guys. And like, this could have been like Grant Cardone, and they had fake planes and they had all these things. And Ty Lopez was who it was. I bought his course, but
it works.
Yeah, which Dante actually kind of looks like Ty Lopez. But we're at a live podcast right now. He's like, "Here's my car, come in my garage."
No one's safe.
Here's my. He always would do it. It was a YouTube ad, and it was like, "Here, look at my garage," and then he would like have 3 books. They were inside the car, and he's like, I have this car because I read these 3 books, and I read those 3 books. And so I was super obsessed with like that culture, but it wasn't more like the cars and material things. It was just like the life freedom that they created or what they portrayed that they created. So I think that's what stemmed it. And then like reading, and a lot of my sales jobs were big on self-development. So we would read books like the law of attraction, like books about the law of attraction, books about how to win friends and influence people, Napoleon Hill. And those books really changed my mindset on creating things, and like not with your hands, not with anything, but like literally with your mind, you can literally create situations in your head and they can come to a realization. So
You'll figure out the path. Like if you see it, if like I need to get right there, right, then you're going to figure out how to get there. Have you read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Oh man, that's a good one.
No, I need to read that. I'm big. I wish I read more. I listen to books.
Dude, Audible while you're
my
driving.
Wife's an English teacher, and she's gonna be mad when she hears that. But I do listen to books, and she doesn't think it's real.
It counts.
It's not reading.
It counts,
It's not
right?
reading.
By a show of
Do you
hands.
read podcasts?
I listen.
Yeah.
Podcasts, yeah.
So
Jason over there, are you typing up notes today? Yep. See, hey, he reads them. Now
he reads podcast show notes.
So
just listen and imagine what they were talking about.
Oh, he takes really good notes. I'm always proud to see it. Now, okay, so St. Louis, right? So Dardine Prairie is what, about 54 minutes?
It's exactly, it's 36 miles. So down 40, you get off at 40 in Winghaven. It's like right there.
So a good distance.
Yeah, it's far.
Now, like,
you had a plan for the Cardinals games. Like the Cardinals
that's what I was just about to ask.
The Cardinals games were an event when you had a plan for that.
Like, how often did you go to those?
We went downtown a lot. Yeah, we would go downtown a lot to Cardinals games, especially just because I was into sports. But no, it was like a fun thing. Like you carpooled with everybody. It was like, it wasn't just like, let me just pop over to the game real quick. Like you plan that out 4 months in advance. We were going to a game.
See, that's what's crazy is like, I know people that live in the city that don't even really go to Cardinal games, but people from super far out, or not super.
That's how I am now. Like now that you're this close, it's not the same anymore. It's not. I mean, I still go to Cardinals games.
I enjoy them.
Like no, I don't eat my way around the stadium like you.
Oh man, it's an incentive.
I eat before. No,
yeah,
you're like my sponsor's listening right now.
Shout out to the sponsors. Yeah, but that's what's kind of cool, like to just learn about people's experience, like, driving from O'Fallon, driving from Dardine Prairie, St. Charles, wherever, to come to a game here in the city. A few years ago, you moved into the city. And so how was that journey? How did you determine where you were going to live coming from?
So we moved to South City in 2019. So like 2018. So like 5 years now.
And that's you and Marissa, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We moved there. So we had a house, like a apartment over in Lake St. Louis. And then we were just uninspired by our surroundings. So we were looking for something that reminded us of a big city that was close to home and close to our family. So we ended up in South City. We're off like Macklin and all that. And my sister lives in the neighborhood, so it was easy for us to find a place there. And we've been in the same place ever since. But that was a unique journey because it is a lot different. But a lot of the things are the same as well. There's still community. There's still small community inside of that. And that's what inspired us when we did move there, was the epic sense of like local business that we didn't have in our hometown.
So what did you do when you moved into South City work-wise? Were you working in sales still, or did you start?
Yeah, Mango? I was working. This was 2018. I started my company in 2019. So I was still working for the sales job for a little bit, and I was doing remote work. And then I was like doing the office, which the office was in St. Charles. So I would drive out to St. Charles to go to work still.
Dang. You're all the way out there, moves into this. I hear those stories from time to time. March of 2020, the world shut down. How did that affect you?
That's crazy that you asked that. I didn't even tell you to ask that, but I quit my job February 15th. I put in, it was like payday on the 15th, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm starting my business. I had one client that paid $400 a month, and I was like, I'm good. You know, I got one client. I know I could get more. Yep. And then I quit my job full time, and then like literally COVID hit, the pandemic, and then I called my boss. I was like, yo, can I get my job back? And he's like, no, dude, we're making cuts. So that was terrible because my wife was in college at the time. So we were like really, 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 I wouldn't say broke. I would just say we were very tight. But that was like the best time to actually work on my skills to get better. So I had that whole 6-month period because that pandemic wasn't 2 weeks. That was like a 6-month pandemic, or longer than that. But from March to, let's just say about like the holiday time, I had a lot of time to sharpen my skills. Yeah, sharpen my skills and learn. And read more books and watch more videos. Yeah. And then like we lost a lot of clients, and then like it was hard because our clients were in hospitality, so it was just difficult. But I think that was one of the best things that actually not like happened to me, but I think that like I needed that to then reset and then come back
to sharpen your craft.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because otherwise you may have just been on the go. Because I think like
you started your brand then too, didn't you?
Yeah, man. COVID.
Or you started it right in March, or the next year after that?
So I was going to start 3-on-4 day of 2020. Yeah. The world shut down on March 9th. And so I was going to, because I was like, no one is showing my St. Louis lifestyle. It's always the same 5 restaurants, which now we know why that's the case. But it's like no one was showing what it's like to go to a Cardinals game, what it's like to go to an upscale, more expensive restaurant and then go to the hood for a hot dog or something, right? No one was showing that. And now it's like the norm, but that's when I got started. Yeah. 2020 was a backwards year. So I started on 4-1-3 instead of 3-1-4.
Okay, so it was 2020, but it was 4-1-3 day.
Yep, 4-1-3. Yeah, it literally I made 4-1-3 a day, right? 4-1-3, 3-1-4 day, right?
Every day is a day.
Well, during that time, I think we connected. Let's see, it was probably late 2020 or something. But what inspired you to start STLBucketList?
Yeah, so really it was, I had the marketing company already, and I was looking for a way to expand my company and not selfishly, but get a brand to get more leads. And, you could pay for leads, you can network for leads, you can do that, or you can build a community page that feeds you business. And that's been true ever since. So we've traveled a lot, and then other bigger cities, you have these platforms and these pages that showcase different sides of St. Louis compared to other platforms that are government agencies that don't do a great job of actually showing people places to go. It's more of just, these are our funders. We're going to show you the places that are on our tourism board or whatnot. Nothing wrong with that. It's just these other cities have independent pages that are more community focused. Like, let's support local businesses, especially during that time. Let's support local more than ever. And really just go into other cities and be like, wow, it looks so much cooler here. Even in Detroit, like you look at Detroit, Graham or whatever, it looks so crazy because they have like a curator out there like curating the best moments of that city. And I was inspired by St. Louis Graham, Jordan over there. His page was awesome. I loved his page, which is crazy that we have that page now. It's nuts because we started our page and he had like 90,000 followers, and now we have more followers than him, and we have that page. But that page was different because he didn't focus on business. He just focused on really great photography, which we try to still do as much as we can, but people just don't post photos anymore. I don't know why. So we can't post any new photos because no photographers post photos.
It's a video world. By a show of hands, how many of you guys like photos? Like when you're scrolling through photos more than video. So if you like photos, raise your hand. And if you like videos, raise your hand. I like videos more. I have short attention.
I like photos though, because like then you don't have to like listen. You can like, I feel like I scroll past videos because I'm not in the state of listening, and then I never see the video again. And then I'm like, dang, I wish I would have saw that podcast clip that Braden posted, but I didn't have my headphones on and I was in a meeting.
No, I feel that.
So at least if I was on a meeting, I could look at the picture. I think pictures need to make a comeback. I think St. Louis Graham, we have a lot of success with photos. And I think that's because that's what the people that followed that platform were for. So when we try to post something out of the box, it doesn't perform well.
Yeah.
Like the sessions at St. Louis it performs, but not as well as we thought it would.
Yeah. And
because you're introducing new stuff to an audience that really just cares about dope pictures of St. Louis.
Well, it's like with the focus on there. So with St. Louis Graham, the focus is with art,
music, culture.
Yeah. So previously it was just on photos. I guess, that style.
He didn't
of
really
art.
have a brand identity. He didn't have a website. He didn't have, it was just a curated page. So we tried to bring like a brand identity to it. And that included like making our own content. So really like art, music, culture. And then I think of St. Louis Graham as like maybe like rap music, and then you think of like Taylor Swift as STLBucketList, like it's your everyday, everybody
spot
loves
on,
it.
yeah.
Like you think of like a unique, like, let's say like St. Louis Graham is like Kendrick Lamar, and then St. Louis Bucket List is like Taylor Swift.
I think that's fair, yeah. I mean, it works because it's great that it's two different identities because, if I go to Bucket List, I know what I'm going to see. When I go to St. Louis Graham, I know what I'm going to see.
It couldn't just be collaborations between the both because that would have just been no point. Like there's no point for people to do that. We seldomly ever do a collaboration. We've probably done like 5 to 6 over the whole entire year that we've had it. And that's important for me. But yeah, it's crazy. It's hard to do too. I'll tell you that.
Well, like with having those two brands and having your business, how has it been growing a team? Because that's very hard. I think for a while, you were telling me you were working 16-hour days. Yeah. Then you brought on Talia, and then how's that process been to where you're at now?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, having a team is difficult. I love my team, and they help me so much. But I think like for any business owner, I think scaling is the number one thing that gives people problems. Is like I can go and make X amount per month, but what happens when I'm not there? And that's what I was building. I was building a company that I'm the least important person in, and that's what we're actively trying to do. That's why everybody on our page is doing videos now. Everybody's doing stuff because I don't want to have to do it. But building a team is tough. I mean, I've had trouble with that for sure. And payroll is crazy.
Taxes.
It's crazy. It's like it blows my mind sometimes. Like only having 6 people, I couldn't imagine companies that have more than 50 people on their payroll.
You're gonna have to start imagining that, man. You're gonna get there.
No, I know, I'll get there, but I think that we like to be small and mighty. Yep. I think I like that. But we're building something that we want to scale. I want it to be bigger. It has to be bigger than me. To work.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like you're focused on this, so maybe growing here, and it's sometimes like you lose that creativity for that time. It's kind of like you're focused on your business, and then you have this hobby. I would that hobby is a business, but it's like
the hobby turned into a business for sure. That STLBucketList was a hobby. It used to be a lot more fun than it is now. Yeah, it's still fun, but it's work though. It's work now.
Yeah, because it's like you get invited to a restaurant and it's like it's an amazing feeling, right? You go, you eat all this food, but there's always this thing kind of like over your head, like, oh man, I have to also record this content. I also have to do X, Y, Z.
It's not a date night. It's not a date night. Like you don't want to it's not a date night anymore when you do. And I am grateful for getting invited, but for us it's so difficult because if we send somebody else out, like we are paying them to go out there. Yep. So like somebody is getting paid and we're losing money every time we go to one of those events. Paying for gas, paying whatever, we're losing money for that event. So we try to explain that to business owners, and I think that's important when they meet us is to like see that we have the office, see that we have multiple people, so that there's no trades. We're not trading anymore. Right. Maybe sometimes if it's a closet from St. Louis Closet Company, but
hey, and that part of the I is sponsored
Shout
by
out Jennifer.
His sponsor.
I'm just kidding. You can cut that out if you want.
No, we'll keep it. I don't know if whatever Jason. I trust Jason.
Yeah, you got it, bro.
He has a big smile on his face. He knows what he's doing. He's making notes.
He's already cutting in.
Bro, yeah, he's like, all right, we keep it. But no, like I like how you said that because I think you and I like starting out. A lot of stuff we did was free, really, like just to help those local businesses during the pandemic because we were getting all those ads from the big corporations. So we're like, all right, let's help these small businesses. And now that a lot of those like restaurants are doing very well, like, we're in a time where it's just like, hey, like, that's my time I'm giving up. That's my date night. That's, my camera. That's whether it's $1,500, $5,000. That's 2 beers and an appetizer is not going to cover that.
No, that's facts.
And so like, what are your thoughts there on the creator scene? Like maybe there's someone listening right now that like, just creators knowing their worth? Like,
Yeah,
what do you
I
think?
think it's just like I think that at some points trades, like when we first started, trades were amazing and we did them all the time. And I think that it really just depends because we have a formula. We still post organic more than 70% of the time. That's important because if it's all paid, then people are not going to engage with it. So if we have a monthly content calendar, now this isn't, if my team's listening, this is what we're trying to execute is 90 posts every month, which sounds like a lot, but that's 3 a day, which we post all the time anyways. So out of those 90 posts, let's just say about 15 of those are paid posts. So then that way it looks better. But you're right about the creator economy. I think it's really difficult for some of these businesses to understand the value. And they can see ROI in different ways when they advertise on Yelp or OpenTable, and they can see clicks and they can see all these things. So I think having like a really nice brand deck that really shows the results. And then one of the things that we have done lately is offer stuff on top. So like if they buy our tier 5 package, that includes 15 edited photos plus 2 edited reels on top of just the trade thing. Mm-hmm. So then they're actually getting value that they can post on their page for the next couple months.
Yeah, which is big because it's like
you have to provide value. I mean, they're not making as much as you think. The restaurants, at least, you talked about restaurants.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But like other businesses, everybody's tight. You
yeah.
just have to provide enough value to make it worth it.
Yeah. Now, like when it comes to the creator economy, what are some things you're doing within STLBucketList, St. Louis Graham, to help it grow and make sure that creators are able to, be compensated, things like that?
Well, I think it starts with us charging first, because that if you have an account if we have 100 and something thousand followers and we're not charging anything, why would they pay for somebody that has less followers? Even though sometimes people that have less followers hit harder than our posts. It just depends. It depends on what your audience is. And I think that's the start of it. I think that we highlight and collaborate with everybody if they ask us to. We always do that. We try to do that as much as we can. So that helps people get elevated sometimes in posts. And then we do a lot of free stuff, especially for musicians. We've been offering free music videos for musicians for the last 10 months. Yeah. Which that costs, a music video costs $1,500, even $2,500, depending on who's shooting it. But yeah, I think it starts with us, having a price first, because then if it's like, it just doesn't make sense if Braden's asking for $20,000, and then STLBucketList is going to do it for $100, then it doesn't, like, it's just tough. Yeah, it's tough. But like, we don't want to also like not help that business though. That's why that's why the organic is so part, and that's the most important thing, is highlighting the people, places, and events that make St. Louis special. If it doesn't fit into those buckets of the people, places, or events, then we might not post it.
And if you're a creator and you're watching this and you're listening, know your worth. Jason, that's the short right there. Bam. Now
with the end too.
Okay. Yeah. Now let's talk about. Do you want to talk about social indoor a little bit?
Yeah. So we earn a constant mode of like acquiring new ways to expand our business. So any way that helps us within marketing, we're gonna explore it. That's why we bought St. Louis Graham. We're open to buying other marketing companies, not just to buy people out, but just to help people, provide resources, and maybe help them make more money. So we had an opportunity to buy a digital billboard company. And it's been amazing. I haven't talked about it much because we've just been in grind mode. Yeah. But
Albie.
Yeah. Shout out Albert.
So if you guys don't know, like, have you guys gone to any sporting event, or nowadays, like with social indoor, they're inside different venues around town. But like, you guys know when you go someplace and you see like the screen right in front of you.
It's mostly in the restrooms.
The restrooms, yeah.
Yeah, we put them in the bathrooms. So like in the city, we're not deep in St. Louis yet. We're big in West County and St. Charles County, but basically just a 22-inch billboard that goes above urinals and above drinking fountains at gyms. So you go to True Fusion, you'll see them above the drinking fountain, or you go to Veta Sports, you'll see them above the urinals. But
that's big.
It's been good, man. It's just another thing. It's just another job. That's all it is. It's just another job and more resources and money. It's a lot more expensive than the other businesses I have, just because there's electricians and handymen involved. So
you calling up those the homies from Dardine Prairie, like, hey man, I heard you're an electrician. How many?
No, facts. That's actually facts.
No, Jasmine and I talk about that from time to time. Like, man, I wish I had more friends like in the
home improvement space.
Yeah,
I got you, bro. Let me know.
Man, I'll hit you up. Like, I'm good on everything else. Like, people in all realms of business, but it's like, that's not.
The home improvements is the most expensive space,
bro. That's not fixing my job.
You got to do a video for like a kitchen and bath company. Come on now.
Fair.
You gotta start thinking like that. Like, how can I get a new kitchen? My wife wants me to get off my phone. I need to get a new kitchen. Babe, I'll get a kitchen out of it.
Hey, I need to reach out to, was it McKinsey? Is it McKinsey Homes or something? Or I can't think of those.
McKinsey's a home builder, yeah.
Yeah. Home builder, bam.
Yeah.
DIY. We'll get that thing built in what, 7 days? Is that?
Yeah, pretty
Dante,
quick.
you gonna record that YouTube video for us? Bam, let's go. All right, that's how we do it. Now with everything that you have going on, obviously you're getting a lot of emails, DMs, phone calls, recording podcasts at nighttime. How do you balance, that time with your wife and soon to be daughter?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I had somebody on my podcast recently, like, if you look at a scale, there's never going to be balance. You're always going to have more on certain sides of your life. And I think that over the last 4 years, I've been so committed to building a life for our future family. And now it's actually coming to fruition. And now I'm taking a step back. So I'm interested in January, like I'm taking a big step back. But balance is impossible. I think that you're always going to lean on one side or the other of that scale. But I think it's important to be present in the moments that you are there. So when you're in a meeting with your people or you're in a meeting with your team, you're completely present. And you can get a lot more stuff done in an 8-hour day than you think. A lot of people bullshit for the whole day, and days can go past quick. So I think that being more efficient, I've been trying to do that. I'm trying to get a 10-hour day done in 6, so that when I go home that I can completely disconnect. But yeah, I don't know. I'll check back on you on that. I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
I think this is different. Like, being an entrepreneur versus being in a corporate realm where you're like, oh, today I'm just gonna slack. It's like you have no days off. Like
Yeah, but you do have the ability to, and that's what the scalability comes in, is like, how can I put people in there that care as much as I do about it so that I can take a step back? And I keep saying least important person. If you're the most important person in your business, you don't have a business, you have a job.
Yeah.
So how can you become the least important? And we're working on that because I want to be at home. I want to be with my daughter at at 2:00 in the afternoon and have the business still running, so.
Well, you also have a podcast.
Yes.
Another
job, bro. I got so many jobs, dude.
Another guy. I don't know if you guys caught on to this. This guy does all these different things. Now, that's something you do each and every week with your wife.
Yep.
How many episodes?
We just recorded episode 90.
Episode 90. So to those, have you guys listened just yet? Bam! You
Dang.
got you have 3 new listeners.
Oh my
And you
gosh.
you have faces to match the.
I know.
3
this
new.
is cool. I want to do one of these little live podcasts.
Yeah, you get to see people in their face. And now, how is
There's so many people here. You hear them?
all over? Jason, insert the crowd, the noise. Now what do you cover on the podcast for those who may not know?
Yeah, so it's a St. Louis focused podcast focusing on entrepreneurs and business leaders and community leaders in St. Louis. We highlight the people, everything is a theme. People, places, and events that make St. Louis special. That's our theme. That's what we live by. But my wife and I record a 1-hour podcast together each and every week. And it's an interview-based podcast similar to this one. The only thing that makes ours different is we ask them what their STL bucket list is at the end, to be honest. It's an interview-based podcast, but it's cool to learn about business owners and different people that are doing really cool stuff in St. Louis.
It's inspiring, man, just to hear people that are it's not just like people like you're listening to in all these other cities, Seattle, New York. It's like these are people here in St. Louis that are walking down the same streets as you.
The kids go to the same school as you. Like, they're shaking shit up. It's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
That's my favorite job, is the podcast.
How do you get ready for the podcast? Like, what preparation goes into it?
Marissa.
Hey, give that credit.
She preps every show with questions, and she does all the show notes, and then I just go and sit down and talk.
Yeah. I feel like people like you and I are just good at talking. Like,
yeah, it's hard because sometimes you owe it to that person. They're spending an hour with you. You owe it to them to give them a good interview, because if you don't, that's a lot of time wasted. So I think that, prepping it, but like, we know our whole show, like, we actually probably don't have to prep. The reason we like to prep is that we want to make sure that we like mention things that are going on with them and not like seem like
you don't know.
Yeah. Like, we have to prep.
I've seen those kind of interviews like of different people where they just don't know what they're talking about, and you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's important to us. Like, I care about it a lot. Like, I want to make sure that it's one of the best interviews that they've ever had. I want them to say that at the end.
I feel like most people I've had on so far is like, I have followed them for quite some time, so I'm like bringing up old stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think
it'll get there. Once you get to 90, you're like, shit, who am I gonna get on this week?
Sexy Red.
Sexy Red, show up.
She's the most mentioned name on this podcast. That's funny. Hey.
Marissa's gonna kill me. She doesn't want to have her on, but I'll have her on.
Now let's talk about current kind of future projects. By the time this comes out, the 314 day market will happen. Probably this upcoming weekend.
The 25th.
25th.
Yeah, so it'll probably be that week or that week after, depending on when this comes out.
Day before?
Oh,
perfect.
pull up to the 314 market.
Bam, it's happening tomorrow. If you are listening today, it's happening tomorrow.
The 314 market is amazing. It's
so what is it for those who don't know?
It's basically a market of creators and small business owners, ranging from fashion, music, art, culture, photography. We had over 55 vendors at our first one earlier this year at the Hawthorne. And the cool part about it is we didn't charge the vendors anything, and they generated over $50,000 in income that night. And this was a Thursday night for 3 hours in the middle of winter in January. People aren't shopping at markets at this time. We're doing a big one at the Armory tomorrow. We've been working with them over there. We're going to be up on the mezzanine level. We're going to do it smaller and more curated, so there's going to be about 25 vendors there this week, but they're going to have live music, masterminds performing, Kinfolk and them's performing. It's going to be live music, shopping, and it's Small Business Saturday. You don't need to go to Target. You don't need to go to Walmart. They'll be open on Monday. Come to the small business market on Saturday.
Yeah, those chains are good,
Fine.
But now is it too late for people? Well, actually, this happened tomorrow.
It's, I think it's like $5 at the door because the Armory does a little door charge.
Yeah, door charge.
Yeah.
Cool. And then what time does it run from?
It runs from, the market's from 2 to 8, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. that Saturday. And then the music starts at 11 and runs all the way through the night. I think Mastermind's going on at like 10 or 11 at night.
Oh, really?
They're going to be.
So it's like a festival almost.
Yeah, it's a festival. And we're just popping up at it. This is the Armory. Shout out the Armory for setting it up. We're just a part of what they're doing that day.
What are some of the other projects you're working on? You can share.
We do 2 events every year. It's just the Locals Choice Awards, which is late this year, just because of me. I've just been slacking on that. But we're doing that December 10th, which is a Sunday. That's one of the coolest events of the year. That's actually what really helped us get to where we're at, that event specifically. And that's a private event with invite only of local businesses and influencers and artists. And we provide everything. We pay for food and drink, and we get in great sponsors for that event. And then we provide them with real trophies, which is really cool. And our trophies are going to be pretty cool this year, I think.
We have a little pretty cool.
I'm waiting for them to come in, so I don't know yet. But they're going to be cool. They're going to be more like a plaque, which I think a plaque is like pretty badass.
I got the plaque. I think Dante has like this whole like glass. Was it Tiffany and Company trophy for Vlogger of the Year?
That was when we were balling on a budget. But that trophy's sick though. That trophy's sick. I do like that one. The plaque's cool too, but that one's small. But like sometimes like you gotta pay for those yourself. I'm like, dude, I can't pay for 55 trophies at $20 a pop.
Fair, yeah.
You know. And with inflation, they're more expensive, and they want to charge you like upcharge to engrave different. And stuff.
You'll be going to like a thrift store and just taking like first place bowling, and you just put. I might just
print out like a paper and put it in a little thing.
Yeah.
Paper.
Like a handwritten note. Like
send them an Evite.
Yeah. This means more.
NFTs. Everybody gets an NFT.
You can, right? Is that still or NFTs still?
No, NFTs are gone.
They're gone.
I don't know. Are they? They're gone. They're dead.
They're dead.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, good.
Non-fungible tokens. Well, now another thing, kind of going back to fatherhood, that's coming up here in just about 2 months. For your future daughter, when she's able to watch this and she's able to listen to this, what are some words of advice that you would give to her?
Wow, that's a hard question. I would tell her to do things that make her feel uncomfortable. Not in like a weird thing, like don't do things that make you feel uncomfortable, but step outside of your comfort zone. Fail a lot. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid for people to make fun of you if you fail. And then just ask for advice from people that have what you want and have been where you've been. You know, don't be afraid to ask older people, especially me, for advice. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just don't be afraid to fail. And I think I would say that to anyone, not just my daughter. I would say, don't be afraid to fail. Like nobody remembers if you failed besides you. Yeah. That's it.
It's part of life.
We've done so much stuff on social media that flopped and nobody remembers. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
You know, maybe one person, but it's like, don't be afraid to fail. It's actually the best thing that can ever happen to you is when you do fail, because then you always come out stronger.
I think it was Kobe. He said, you either live or you learn. Or no, you either win or you learn. And it's like you only really lose is when you just like quit. You're like, I'm done. I quit. It's like, no, like exactly. You can lose a game, but you see something like, oh, maybe I should have shot the ball here, or I should have done this. And it's just like,
yeah, the only time you fail is when you quit. So I think fail is the wrong word, but don't be afraid to mess up. Yeah, and just do things that make you feel uncomfortable. Step out of your comfort zone. That's what I wish somebody would have told me when I was younger. So.
Yeah. Do you guys have things planned already? Like you guys for the first year, because you know you're with STLBucketList, man. You have you've shared all the different like STL mobs and things like that. So do you guys already have your own bucket list of things
I don't know if we're gonna share or not. Like I think we talked about that, but I don't know if we will. I don't know if we will or not. I don't think so. I mean, we might if like a daycare wants to do a post or something, but like, whatever.
Hey, let's go.
If a daycare wants to, like, if a daycare is like, oh, you want to be here? I'm like, yeah, we'll do a post. That's expensive. That's like $500 a week. But I don't think we'll do like some baby bucket list, like things to do with your family. I think our content will shift a little bit, but we still have people on our team that are 20 years
that are
old.
young.
Yeah.
As you're getting old, you still have that. So I mean, it's a good balance of the
They make fun of me. They make fun of millennials.
Really?
They think we're whack.
Man.
They think that we're stupid. I don't know why. I don't know why. They said if you use emojis, since I use emojis, I'm a millennial.
What if you like?
Doesn't everybody use emojis?
Yeah. Standard. Yeah, I thought it was standard practice. Yeah, people watching. I thought it was normal.
Like,
I used to. I just know I'm pointing at the camera when I do that. Like, I thought it was normal.
They wish they would be as cool as us. I think
so we got to see everything. We got to go from the box screen TV to whatever technology is out now.
No, that's true.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
They went from They
just went 0 to 100.
They went from TikTok dancing to I don't even know, from YouTube to TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Now,
that's why I'm trying to blow up on TikTok. I need to tap in with the younger.
You gonna start dancing?
Yeah,
Daddy daycare dance party and stuff, man. Hey, Uncle Braden has all these. I got all the playlists, man. I got all the Disney.
I'm excited about that next journey, though. I think it's exciting. Like, not like that we're bored now. But we've been together for 7 years, and then we built our lives and our businesses together, and we're excited about that next chapter because I think it's just going to motivate us to do more. You're
not going to go to the zoo on a Saturday, though, right?
No, hell no.
You already know the weekdays. Like, you've been in the city long enough.
We ain't going to the zoo on a Saturday. No, we're going to the zoo on like a Friday morning. Not even Friday, Thursday.
No, during the week. You can work at the zoo, right?
You can work there.
Yeah, like I'll. A few times I have. I'll just grab my laptop, my hotspot.
Oh, I thought you meant like you work at the zoo.
Oh, no. I'll just work at that little coffee stand. I don't say their name.
That's nice.
Bro, it's like you have the lake there.
Yeah, it's nice. You hear some animals kind of like,
you see flamingos. Where else are you going to see this kind of stuff?
No, that's real.
Casually. And then you're like, I'm going to go take a lap. And you just take a lap and see.
Walk through the zoo. I've done that. I did that after you told me. You're like, I just did my walk in the zoo instead of Forest Park. And I was like, that's a good idea.
Bro, I be on that old man shit, bro.
Yeah.
You already know. Like,
he's like, let me get a walk with him. South City's not good enough for you no more. You got to walk next to the water, next to the animals.
Oh, man.
You got to dress up like George of the Jungle and shit and do that video that you
did. Oh, man. Hey, shout out to Dante. What he's talking about is for Halloween, I did Frank, I forgot his name, but what Dwayne Johnson dressed as for Jungle Cruise. And so I did a whole skit. Shout out to the homie there because it was awkward. People were walking past us and I'm over here, but it's all good. I do improv and I don't care what others think. I just have fun, right? Like life is short. So now let's talk about words of wisdom. So for someone that wants to do what you're doing, or it could just be someone listening that could be going through a tough time, what are some words of wisdom that you would like to leave people with?
Ask for help. People actually respond to you more than you think. If you ask people, and the biggest thing is asking people to have what you want. And I don't say that in a weird way, but like if you're inspired by somebody, it's a lot easier to get a hold of that person than you think. You can ask for what you want. I think consistently being consistent is my quote that I live by. I put that up everywhere. It's really like anything. I mean, it's the same as when you're working out. Like, you can work out once really good, but if you don't work out every day, it's not going to really make a difference. And then I would say we write this down everywhere. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? That's kind of like my quote.
You say it on the podcast all the time, man.
Yeah, I say that all the time. That's like my favorite quote. And really what that means to us is like, if it's not us, who's going to do it? If not now, then when are you going to do it?
Yeah, because I think it was Gary V or someone was like, so many people.
I don't even know who says that quote, by the way. I need to find out who said that quote because I claim that quote.
Yeah, well, like I was just gonna say, like I think it was on the podcast, one of Gary V's podcasts. Like he was a big inspiration to me, and I give him credit for the St. Louis creator scene.
Yeah, Gary V's a boss.
Like he was like someone. He got me out of my head, and I was like, I just started doing stuff. Who cares? As long as you're trying to do things for. To be positive and spread positivity and love, like who cares? But he said something along like, kind of like you said, if not us, then who? If not now, then wait, was it?
Well, in his one book, Crush It, he was always just talking about if who else is going to do it?
Because it was like someone could have been like, man, I've been thinking about Uber for years, and then it's just like, well, this other person actually made Uber happen, and things like that. So it's like,
and that goes back to don't be afraid to fail. People are too afraid to let people know that they lost. And like you said, like every great player has lost. You know, even Michael Jordan, although he's 6-0 in the finals, he lost a lot of first round matchups before the finals happened.
LeBron's the GOAT, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, dinner guests, let's talk about that. So I know you're a foodie. If you can have 3 people, dead or alive, could be family, friend, celebrity, someone in this room, whomever. If they can join you for a meal, who would they be and why?
So I would have dinner with LeBron because I love LeBron. I would have dinner with my mother-in-law because she passed away. That would be awesome to have dinner with her. And then I would have dinner with who do I really like right now? I would have dinner with Steve Jobs.
Nice. And what would you guys talk about at that table?
I think I would just talk about, you know, his motivation because I feel like I'm not like comparing him to him, but like I feel like he's a psycho towards a mission, and I feel like that's how I feel. I'm obsessed with every single day. Like I wake up like ready to like fight this mission that I don't think anybody I'm even fighting against. I'm just like waking up, and I think that's how he was, at least in the movie. In one of the movies that I watched with him, and he was just like, I don't care. This is what I think will work, and I'm gonna make it work, and he willed it to work. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think what we're going to do, since this is Opecast Live, if people in the audience have questions, we'll let them ask. And then after that, we'll jump into Foodie Friday.
I had no pizza, no narwhals at this one.
Oh, man.
I see what it is when the studio gets together. They get pizza and drinks and shit. Sorry, guys. No,
That was the pilot. Yeah. Hey, trust us. We tried. We tried on that.
Balling on a budget too, man. I get it.
Well, do you guys have any questions? No pressure. Oh, you got one? All right. Yeah, y'all could ask us anything. Like, we're pretty chill.
You can ask them their favorite color.
Wow. Okay. Is it on?
Yeah.
Hello? Hello. Great talk, guys. I enjoyed
Hey,
that.
Thanks, man. And what's your name?
I'm Matt Jackson. Okay. I have a question. So one of the questions was, what advice would you have for your daughter? Okay. I thought that was interesting, right? Because I think being an entrepreneur isn't just a decision one makes for themselves. It's a personality profile. And entrepreneurs seem to have a much higher tolerance for stress and risk, right? So, in terms of your daughter, right? What if she's not wired to be an entrepreneur? Would your advice still be the same?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think my advice, what I said was, don't be afraid to do things that make you uncomfortable. So if it's uncomfortable for her to you know, study this certain thing and do this certain job. I think that's what I mean by doing things that are uncomfortable. Sure. I wouldn't actually wish this entrepreneurship life on my daughter, for real. I wouldn't. Y'all don't want this.
It's like you're hungry all the time. You're like,
well, you're stressed.
Sleep.
You said the stress is real, and I think the stress is such a crazy thing, especially when you have 6 people on staff. Is like you are literally reliable for their lives as well. It's not just my life. But yeah, I think that I would say the same thing, and I think the other thing I said, don't be afraid to fail, and I think that that's with anything. It doesn't matter if she's playing basketball or playing, gymnastics. I think that it's really just not being afraid to fail, and like don't feel like we're ever gonna make you feel a type of way for failing, because we all do it.
Yep. Just real quick, what are some of the things you do to help alleviate and cope with stress?
I watch sports a lot. I play like sports video games. That actually is the number one thing when I play online for kids on Madden. That really like takes my mind off things. That is actually my number one thing. Is I'll come home and I'll say, babe, I can't do it tonight. I'm about to play these kids on Madden real quick. Give me like 30 minutes. Let me play one game. And then I'll lose to these kids because they play every day. I'm like, I only play once a quarter, bro. Like
I feel that I stopped playing 2K because the Gen Z.
2K is even worse.
Bro, they started whooping me, man.
Yeah, I think video games. I think doing things that getting coffee is like a big thing for me. I love getting coffee, and I kind of like work because I'll feature them when I do it as well. So then it's like an expression of like, oh, let me feature them and get them 50,000 views real quick. Like sometimes I don't realize how much we're actually helping a business until you take a step back and actually look and be like, oh my gosh, like this business got 100,000 views on this video and like all these people are sharing it and these people are going and then they text us and say, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Thank you so much. So I think like doing things like that, like getting coffee. I try to do that on Fridays. We work from home on Fridays. I don't, but we do work from home in the office. So I'll always go and get coffee and then I'll work at the office by myself.
That's why you do the, hey guys, Fridays work from home, so I got the whole office to myself.
Exactly.
You take it in like, ah, man, we're here. On God.
But yeah, I think I need to do more things. I wish I had more hobbies and I wish I had more friends. I have like a couple friends, but I think that it's really just like
different conversations for different groups kind of thing.
Yeah, it's hard. Like my fantasy football draft, that's fun for me. That takes my mind off things.
It's like, what have you been up to? And you're just like, yeah, just things. Like, I feel like it's
said.
so hard to like dive into everything.
Well, it's hard to talk about it. And somebody talked about risk. You talked about risk. And it's like risk is different. Like even between me and my wife, like her risk is way different than my risk. Like I'll put $50,000 up on something and like not care if I fail, where she might not want to get extra like espresso shot in a coffee, you know, like that's just, we're different. And I think you need that. But I think that risk is like, it's not gambling, it's strategic gambling. But
you're betting on yourself a lot of times too.
Yeah, I think that that's like the thing is you have to spend money to make money. And I've noticed that as you take your profits, you reinvest it. And it is scary. It is scary when you're staring down the barrel and you haven't made any money in months and you're invested and you have people on payroll. Like it's stressful for sure, but you just gotta play Madden online, dude. You just play like one match and you're good.
And beat Gen Z, right?
They said about the
No,
fantasy, I don't know if you play fantasy football, but I basically I donate to my friends to be in a group chat for the fantasy football draft every year. I just do a yearly donation.
You're like, hey, I'm gonna get my butt whooped, but hey, this is the way we communicate.
Yeah, that's how we communicate. You pay to be in a 12-person group chat. That's it.
Dude. Fair. No, that's why I stopped playing. I was like, all right, I'm done with the 50. Anybody else? Any questions before we do a Foodie Friday? Awesome.
If nobody else does, I have one.
All right, Jason.
So you mentioned earlier, Ty Lopez is here in his garage. He's got all these cars. You said the cars are not the main inspiration for you, but is there any other item or thing that you're chasing? There's some big goal in your personal life that has motivated you to go this far?
Yeah.
Or do you really just want to build the community and
I think
where is that?
I mean, I think everybody starts a business selfishly. Like I'm not just doing it for the community. The community is just a part of what we're affecting. But I think that it's not cars. I mean, I definitely like cars, not as much as you guys in here, but I think it's more of just the time freedom that I'm trying to create. I'm trying to create a certain sense of safety and time freedom. And I think that I live way below my means now. I always have, but I think that there will come to a point where it's like, okay, now, like right now I'm spending a lot of money just because we're starting the family and the house and everything. But I think that it's really just the time freedom that I want to create. And I really do want to have a legacy that a legacy is worth more than, you can't pass your kids down a car. I mean, you can, but thinking 50 years down the road, I want to be healthy. I want to be active and I don't want to have to worry about working for the money. I want it to come in. And I think the time freedom is the number one thing. And building something that's actually special. I say this all the time, build something special. But like, if it's not really special, then what are you building? You actually have to keep that. Like if I'm selling out for things that aren't special or that aren't actually benefiting, then you have to kind of check yourself internally. Great question.
Yeah, that was a good question.
DJ? You're the DJ up here, man.
They, Yep.
My favorite color is green, if you're asking.
Green?
Yeah.
Like a dark green or a light green?
Like your shirt.
Oh, very cool. Well, it matches the decor. But my name's Jillian. I'm of Jillian Lauren Art. But when you are taking on different people to sponsor you, how do you determine who you're going to take on as a sponsor and who you deny?
Well, I wouldn't say we deny that many sponsors. It's
few
hard
and far
enough.
between.
Yeah, it's hard enough to get sponsors sometimes, but we do try to make that. We try to work with legacy brands. So we try to work like our What to Do in the Lou event is sponsored by Allen Roofing. They've been in St. Louis for 75 years. Like they are a legacy brand in St. Louis. Wine and Cheese Place, St. Louis Closet Co. They've been around for 30, 40 years. These are legacy brands. But I think that like cannabis was one thing. We were one of the first people to partner with cannabis companies before it was even recreational. We took that leap because I knew that cannabis wasn't as bad as alcohol. So we took that leap, and we were one of the first people to do it. We've been working with them ever since. Some people, magazines weren't trying to do anything. Now they're trying to take those sponsors. So I wouldn't say we turned down that many, to be honest. We're always looking for people to help us with our projects. So it's still hard. It doesn't matter if you show them millions of impressions and views. It's still hard for them to give you any sponsorship. But I definitely think we do our due diligence. A lot of our sponsors we use personally. We used before then, and then they became a partner, or now we're just using them also. We love them all the same, but when you're a partner, I remember when I got 4 Hands and I came to the office, like that's all I had in my hand was 4 Hands cans. I had the whole cooler at Spark, and I was just like holding the cooler. Yeah, yo, take a picture of me real quick. But like they're still working with us, and I still drink Citywides all the time. That's my go-to. I drink the seltzers. Like it just is what it is.
I would say it's a hustle. I think at least where I'm at as a creator to find different sponsors, and I've been fortunate to bring several on. But it's like a lot of times I'm explaining the value in what I do, and so it's helped me out to be able to explain. Hey, like how you pay $100,000 for these commercials that no one watches because they go to the bathroom or they skip that video. Well, hey, I can make that for a fraction of the cost. I have an audience that's engaged. I can advertise your product, and like people will finally learn about you for a small fraction. And even then, it's like twisting their arm. But I am very, very, very fortunate. I've had, I think, compared to just like a lot of creators, I've been fortunate to have really good partners. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people see all the cool stuff we get to do, but there are a lot of the cool partners, but I get told no still like 90% of the time. I think Dante and Jason, they get to hear about all the no's or the things I can't do because maybe it's like it doesn't work within our budget or something that we're doing. But yeah, sponsors are different.
Are you looking for sponsors for your art projects and stuff? Or?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate.
What kind of art do you do?
I do portraiture, and I created a process that allows for color changing to happen. So if you walk left to right, it'll go from like red to green, or
kind of like the things. Yeah,
yep, it's actually exactly what I mentioned.
Do portraiture, like we had somebody at like one of our cousins' graduations parties. They were like popping up. Is that the type you do, or no? Like
kind of. That's. Yeah. I mean, I do live painting, and that's actually how I picked or acquired one of the sponsorships that I have right now.
Nice.
But a lot of times I'll have images that come up in my head, and then I'll come up like paint something that has to do with the image, and then a very intricate background that goes along with it.
That's so cool.
What's the name of the name brand of the paint you use or the brush?
So the cheap ones you find over at Walmart. I use Apple Barrel a lot. I also use a lot of household cleaners when I'm painting just to try and come up with my own medium in order for it to work. So
do you take photos or videos like while you're making those?
I do, but I am looking for improvement on that and looking for a mentor. So if either one of you are taking on people.
I was gonna say like I would look at even getting a hold of whoever makes the product that you're using. Sometimes it's difficult, even if you're like reaching out to them on LinkedIn. I've gotten fortunate, or I've been lucky by just calling someone and just saying, hey, I think this is a great opportunity. Maybe they send you product and that's like the start. And once they see the value, they'll, give you funds. But
so you guys go cold calling still?
I do.
Or, okay.
I do. Yep.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, we definitely we cold DM, so same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Cold call.
Yeah.
Cold communication.
Hey, shoot or shoot. You just shoot your shot. Worst thing someone's gonna say is no, and then after that, go on to the next one. Who's the maybe not competitor, but who else makes the same or similar product?
No, that's cool. What's your business?
Jillian Lauren Art.
Julia Lauren Art.
Yeah. That's
dope. You could have did one live. Maybe next episode you could
have me back. I'm more than
we'll
happy
do one
to do
live.
it.
That would be badass.
Yeah,
we should do that. That would be
give
cool.
You my business card.
Yeah, that'd be really cool because then we could have a picture of this moment after.
Yeah. That would. How long does that take to make?
People do it at weddings and stuff too.
Well,
really?
Yeah, one of the people that got hired when I first moved.
Yeah, wedding. It's cool. They just start painting while the wedding's going on, and then by the end they give it to them, or they come and bring it back like a week later or something.
Yeah, I mean the way I've learned it works easiest is if you have an image of what the setting's going to look like, and then you paint the people in there while they're actually there, right? Because my shirt might not be green next time; it might be purple. Depends on the mood.
Yeah.
But the same thing with yours, right? So if I'm painting that and painting the vibe when I get there versus the structure, it's a little easier.
That's so cool.
So you can do it in about an hour and a half depending on the size.
That's so cool.
I think I'll have to get her an Avalanche.
Yeah.
Avalanche Pop-Up Bar, if you're listening, make sure you get your tickets.
Thank you so much for coming too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it was great to meet you.
Well, thank you all. I think the last thing we'll do is Foodie Friday.
Yes, I've been waiting for this moment.
Yeah, it's on your page every week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, we got one more question. Ellen, Your voice is deep enough. You could probably.
No, yeah, right. So you got me on there? All right, we're good. So we all deal with like rejection and like how to deal with people saying no to you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side, if you've had bad relations with a client, how do you fire a client, or have you? And what's the story behind it?
Yeah, that actually happened to me today. I didn't fire them because it's like we're not in the position. Because that comes back to my team. Is like if it was just me, I probably would let them go. But we need that income. It's like very important. But there are clients. I actually have not personally fired a client because I'm very good at meeting people where they're at and just trying to make them happy. But like there is a situation where somebody would talk crazy to one of our people, and then it's like a situation like, hey, at the end of the month, we have to go another way, but not like really like firing. But I think that clients, when they pay you money, like they pay you money, they will flash that in your face. Let's say a retainer is $2,000 a month. They're like, I pay you $2,000 a month. And I'm like, so do 40 other people or whatever the number is. But like, they think that I'm like, if you want this type of service, I do suggest people to go in-house. I'm like, if you want full-time service, this, and this, like the best option for you is to go in-house. But if you go in-house, you're not going to have access to the 3 editors that we have, all these different people that are on this project for that flat rate. But I think what I've been doing really good at is setting expectations. I used to get really close with my clients when I was a freelancer, and they would text me every time of the night in like weird times. And I think when you set that first meeting and you sit them down and say, this is our process, this is what we do, this is our deliverable times, this is my work time, this is like her time, whoever's time is on the project, then you get a little bit, the freelance life is hard. Like I did that for 2 or 3 years. Like that's tough. Are you wanting to fire a client right now? Yeah. Do you think it is a little bit of both or just the client specifically? Or do you think? Yeah. Yeah, I want to talk about this because this is actually valuable stuff.
Yeah, I got you. Just difficulties. No, completely one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we would like to see both sides, and it sounds kind of weird coming from one side, my side.
It's not.
It's not me, it's you,
Yeah.
but definitely it is.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm almost being played, but it's technically not. Like everything's said and done, and I'm very big on contracts and copyright and all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal is that prior to shooting or doing anything for anyone, there are no surprises come shoot time.
Yeah.
Everything's done. Like, half down, half on deliverables,
Mm-hmm.
all that fun stuff. So it's difficult when you try everything you can do in your power, you have everything set,
Yeah.
and it still kind of fires back when people don't think it's enough, when you go through as much professionalism as you can.
Yeah.
You do your best practice,
Yeah.
So
It's hard. It's hard. Like we are very flexible, and I think that gets us in trouble a lot of times. Like there's a lot of times where projects don't pan out. We do work, we don't get paid. Like that happens a lot of times. And as you get more clients, that will. But I think that you're doing everything right. You're setting it up. You're getting half down, which is amazing. That would be great. And then really it's the customer is always right. I hate to say that, but the customer is, if they don't like it, then they're paying. It's a service. It's subjective. It's not tangible. They're not buying this mic and I'm giving them this mic. They're paying you to create art and you create it, and they always want more. They're always going to want more. I think it's just in your sales process. Like this is what I do. Was it delivery time? Was it that, or was it just like you just delivered it? Because sometimes like I'll pay creatives and delivery time slow, and then they deliver less, and I'm like, hey, do you have any more? Like if you need more time, take more time and deliver more.
So it's mainly through the use of WeTransfer. That's what I use to deliver all photos and videos, because it's easy to zip it up. You pay for it for the year, and then you just send however big it is, and all their the copies of their model release or contract and all that. And you send it to them. It's signed, and you have proof. Have you used WeTransfer before?
Yeah.
So you get proof that they've downloaded.
opened it,
It's
downloaded
password
the file.
protected.
Yeah.
And
And then it expires after 7 days.
Right.
Yeah.
I have proof that it's been downloaded multiple times on 2 separate occasions, and I've been up at weird hour at the night.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't get my stuff. Well, I see you downloaded it, but I'll give you benefit of the doubt, and I'll re-upload it.
Yeah.
I'll re-upload it, and then now we're like a month in, 2 months in on a non-expiring link, and it hasn't been touched.
Sometimes this might be the worst advice, but I just wipe my hands with stuff like that. But I think that it's just easier for me to focus on getting a new client than it is trying to get half the payment back for another client. It sucks. Like it sucks to get taken advantage of, but like,
Yeah.
I've definitely, I think it's tough, but I think you did everything right. And I think you just fire them and say, hey, no worries. We're not going to work together, you know?
Yeah, I never have had an issue with that before. So
Yeah.
it was interesting to see, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Thank you for that. That's a good question.
I got you.
Some good stuff. Well, we'll get on to Foodie Friday. You ready?
Yes, sir.
It's Foodie Friday, and today I'm here with the owner of this page, STLBucketList, Lucas Farrell. Luke, when you're not showcasing St. Louis, doing your podcast, your businesses, where are some places that you enjoy eating around town?
This is an amazing question. I've been waiting. 12. How many episodes have you had? 13 episodes? This will be episode 14. I've been waiting 14 episodes to get my chance at this. So I'm going to give you my ideal St. Louis day. So I'm going to wake up. I'm going to go to the Tower Grove Farmers Market, which just closed, but they'll have a couple winter markets. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to Farm Spirit, and I'm going to get that sausage breakfast sandwich that they have with the little aioli that's super spicy. It's super fire. And then I'm going to go to A.O. & Co. in Tower Grove, and I'm going to get a vanilla latte. And then I'm probably also get like some pita bread and hummus from A.O. & Co. Market, which is over at Olio. And then I'm going to go back to Tower Grove, and I'm going to sit down and eat that pita hummus. And then I'm going to go over to Grace Meat and 3 for lunch to get their 3 tender special with the extra hot. You got to get it extra hot. And then you got to get their milkshake of the month. They were just doing a gooey butter cake one, which was absolutely gas. And then after that, I'm probably going to go home, take a quick nap, and then I'm going to go out to dinner. So then I'll go out to dinner, my dinner spot. Where would I go? Okay, so quick dinner takeout. I'm going to Noodle House right down the street here. I'm grabbing that. That's the go-to quick dinner. If I'm going to sit-down dinner, I just want to go somewhere new. I just went to Farmhouse, which was one of the best experiences I've ever had in St. Louis. Might go to, Nixta because I like Mexican food. And then dessert, probably going to go to Clementine's in the neighborhood.
Yep.
And get that cookies and cream with caramel.
And I know you like cocktails too, right?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I love cocktails. My favorite cocktails are from Tim Wiggins over at Yellow Belly. We're doing Marissa's birthday party there. Actually, we just did that 3 days ago when this airs. And love the cocktails. I'm actually wanting to shout out to Tim. I want to do I make cocktails myself at home. I'm a mixologist in training. So I want to do a cocktail pop-up there with him and just like actually work one night there. That would be pretty cool.
I think
like you
be
worked
awesome.
at the Arch, so I could work at
Oh yeah, that was an experience. Yeah.
But that would be my ideal day. That's a good day.
Dude, I could tell, like, I'm over here, like, smiling because I'm like, man, this guy literally had thought about every little bit, like, most prepared. Well, for a full list, you guys can check out at OpCastThePod and STLBucketList on Instagram. And Luke, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
That
list was dope. Well, I was just thinking about it, and I always ask that question to people, what's on your STL bucket list? Nobody asks.
Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Opecast. Now, this wouldn't be possible without all of your support. My producer, Jason, my friends here at Tech Artista. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Follow us on Instagram at OpecastThePod or TikTok. So until next time, peace.